Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the severe weather threat for Friday along with some of the other forecast stuff for this week. First off, we're going to start with looking at the temperatures for this upcoming week. So today's high was around 64, as you can see around here. Tomorrow is a much warmer day with up to 74, 75 around in Centerville and parts, and Kirksville around 70. And a lot of these areas of southern Iowa in the mid 70s, almost 80 in Omaha. And then we can look for the wind, max wind gusts in the next 24 hours, which would include tomorrow. We got some high winds tomorrow and warm temperatures that also will cause fire weather to be very possible. We'll go over that in a little bit as the weather stories. You can see we got critical fire danger, but we'll go over that in a little bit later. But as we get to day 3, our maximum temperatures for day 3, let me click something. This cools down a little bit, so we got a little below 60. Kirksville is going to be 59, Tumble 56, and a couple of these areas around lower 50s. And then we get to day 4, which would be Wednesday. We get back up to 65 in the mid 60s, and then we get to Thursday, and we get warmer again, back up to lower 70s, almost mid 70s in these some parts down here. And then we get to Friday, where we're up in the upper 70s, almost 80s in Ottumwa and a lot of these areas. And that is the day that there should be severe weather very much possible. And then as we get to day 7, which would be Saturday, we get a little bit more of a cool down after that front gets through. But mostly it looks like a very warm week ahead, which will be really nice. Let me go look at the Climate Prediction Center stuff so we can look for the next little while. As you can see, trend-wise, after the first couple days, we still have the 6 to 10 day forecast. Still says we're going to have above average temperatures for most of the central and eastern United States. And then the 8 to 14 day says about average, but with a little bit more for a little chance of some more for a lot of the central and eastern U.S., but not for our area quite as much. Precipitation wise, above average, a little bit above average for our area, and then obviously for the eastern a bunch for the western, and the southern looks like a little bit drier than usual. But 8 to 14 day precipitation is very, very similar, just a little bit less exaggerated on that front. But yeah, it looks like a very nice week. Of course, we have a 15% chance for severe weather for a large portion of the central United States, including Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, and even a little bit of Alabama and Oklahoma. But those won't be in the main area here, probably by day 1. But this upper level part is definitely going to be impacted by the upcoming storm on Wednesday, which could reduce the moisture, which could limit the chances up here. But this southern portion will almost guaranteed happen. And now we're going to dive into that for a little bit here. But yeah, as of right now, it looks like we got a large area of possible severe weather incoming this Friday. But as we go right here, we see this large trough starting to form out in the west, and boom. And then as you see, it hits right there. We got the speed max up here, and you got a very potent low pressure system. Once again, just like last week, you're going to get some very strong winds on the inside and the outside portions of this pressure system. Actually, if we check wind speeds, wind gust. Zoom back in here. As you can see, look at that. We've got 60 mile per hour on that side, and then you hit that other side. And then, like as you can see up here, we got some 60 to 70 miles per hour up in those kind of areas like that, and very, very windy, that's for sure, with this kind of powerful system like that. But as we can see, we're going to go to Cape, and there should be a lot of instability. This is the kinetic available potential energy, and it basically shows energy for storms is kind of what I'd like to say. As you can see, we've got a large portion through the central, and this northern portion has a good chunk on the GFS, and also the southern portion has even more. This is at 4 p.m. and then we get to 7 p.m. and you can see it's starting to move out. So this will definitely be an earlier event for the northern portion. But as we take a little bit of a sounding here and just take a peek at it real quick. We've got a decent hodograph for tornadic production, a little bit fast moving storms. We've got 1400 Cape, which should be plenty, especially for this time of year. The moisture is just a little low. You want almost closer to 60, but upper 50s will work with a 73. But that will definitely cause a little bit of problems for the storms if they can't get latched to the surface. But overall, likely these global models are definitely underestimating the dew points. So that'll definitely go up as we get closer. But as we can see, the southern portion will have no trouble, obviously. as you're right by the water. Should have very, very, very little trouble getting moisture. As you can see, 76 over 68. That's very, very, very potent moisture. A little less speedy photographs as well, but still tornadic, definitely. A little less, as you can see, a little less backed on these, but there's still tornadic potential here. It's just not quite as potent as the ones up north, but the moisture is substantially better down there. And as we can check photograph map, there definitely going to be some better areas, maybe up by even Arkansas. Once it loads here quick, it'll be Cape with overlap, but you can see it's not overly great. But then you can see up here, these photographs are a lot more backed, which gets a lot better chance of tornadoes. But as we get to 7 p.m., and then we even get to the nighttime hours, you're going to see this is going to definitely be possible throughout here. And even some of these areas up north, if we can get to a more linear mode by then, you got very potent photographs, very fast moving storms. The instability starts to run out, but you still going to have some chances, especially when the temperature starts to lower and the dew point stays around the same. That's when you're really going to have your best chance later on up north. And by then it'll be a linear mode, so it'll be a little less tornadic potential, a little more wind, but still very much likely to be potent for tornadoes even at that time of night. Now we're going to look at the precipitation type, because as you can see, you got the little bit of storms right here is that low pressure system. There you go, right there, about 4 to 7 o'clock in that kind of area around there. But that's not what I'm looking at here with this. As you can see, we got a large snowstorm possible as well for parts up here, and you got that mix right around that low pressure system as well. And then you get a little bit dipping down the next day, but not quite enough to do too much. But as we're going to go look at snowfall totals up in that portion of the U.S. And let's go 24 hour just so we don't get anything earlier. As you can see, around a foot, a little over a foot, 16 inches there, but probably likely going to be more like a foot as we get to that event. But it definitely could be a lot lower, and it could be a lot higher. The snow is going to really change by then, so that's just kind of looking at what could be possible. Obviously, we're not going to get probably a foot of snow up there in that exact area, so who knows? Snow stuff's very, very difficult to keep track of and forecast. We're going to check out the actual system before, which could actually possibly seep some of the moisture out for the next event, but likely it keeps trending, so then it looks like there's going to be less of a chance of it taking the moisture for that next event, which is kind of not a good thing for the severe weather that next day. As you can see, it's definitely not anywhere near as potent as it was before, because sometimes these things can take the moisture, as you can see right here. It'll be a severe event down in the south. These things can really suck the moisture out for that next event, but it looks like there's 3-4 days is going to be enough time for that thing. 2 to 3 days, I guess, is just enough time for that thing to get enough moisture and come through and have another severe event, especially for the southern portion. That northern portion is still definitely on the little bit of the kind of iffy part of it, but we'll see how it can do. As of right now, I would definitely say this southern portion should definitely be on watch. This northern portion still we need to get a little closer to decide, especially after Wednesday. That second that system leaves, we'll know exactly what's going to happen within reason. We're going to know a lot better. But as of right now, we definitely cannot estimate anything with how this northern portion's moisture return is going to be. Although the GFS has definitely been uptrending as we keep ticking along here, getting closer and closer. So that's something that needs to be watched as we get closer. But yeah, the SPC outlook, we got a 15% already. And as I mentioned, we have a red flag warning for a large portion of the central Midwest and plains and northern plains even, as you can see. It's all these pink ones. And we have a breezy and warm Monday, critical fire danger. It's 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. High temperatures 60s to mid 70s. Humidity low humidity, and the vegetation is dry already. So we definitely have a chance of some spreading fires. Burning is not recommended. If a fire begins or a brush pile is lit, these fires may spread rapidly and become uncontrollable, and then delay burning to a later date if possible. So definitely do not be burning on Monday if you don't have to. Even if you have to, just try to move it if you can for any reason. But yeah, for the most part, this severe weather looks pretty potent as of right now. Definitely could see a 30% getting added to the southern portion. This northern portion will likely stay at 15 for a long time until we actually know what the moisture is going to do. But for the most part, as you can see, we're going to go right back to it just for a second and show what the dew points are showing. And then I'll show you guys how it's kind of been doing movement-wise and how it's been shifting. I think this is the newest run. All right, so we're going to go zoom in on the Midwest because this is kind of the point I'm looking at the most. This is where I will be chasing if I am chasing. on Friday. As you can see, the dew points are 50 to 55 in some areas. Let me check what we already looked at soundings. So let's look at the model trend. So as you can see, last trend was a little drier, a little bit more south, a little drier. And you can see a lot more moist 2 ago, and you can see even 3 ago there's a ton more moisture. But as we can see, it's going back and forth. It's going to be a long time till we really know what's going to happen. I got to go back to this. Okay, try that again. Yeah, as you can see, we've really shifted from being eastern to over to west, back to east. The motions are really unpredictable at this time. We don't know what they're going to do. And look at that moisture. You see the difference in how much moisture. Every other run basically is a bunch or none. And we've gotten actually lower these last 2 runs, but then these last couple. But as you can see, it's very, I mean, look, right here, these two, same thing. Low, 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 low. And then right after those 2 low ones, boom, you get higher again and further east. So, I mean, it's so hard to know right now for sure. So now if we look at the ensembles, which are actually just a combination of a bunch of different runs of the same model, these usually show a lot better of what it could be. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for dew point. So this one shows very similar to what I was saying before. But as you can see, these are what these are showing. A long time ago, it showed nothing. And then as you can see, it started uptrending, uptrending, uptrending. A little downtrend these last 2 for the most part, but still a long ways to go. Now let's look at the European model, or the European ensemble model. This one has been a little higher now. As you can see, look how much lower it was, and then boom, it gets a little higher, 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 and then it's been really similar these last 3 or 4 runs, but it's very similar to what the GFS is showing too. So that's definitely something we need to watch. It's hour 26, is that right? Yeah, so we can look at a couple other, the National Weather Service blended models, and see what it shows for the dew points. This one probably will show a little higher, I bet. Yeah, just a touch higher. It's a lot more higher resolution too. But as you can see, it's still just a little downtrend and a little east trend recently. We've kind of got it to move back eastward like it had been. But this is definitely going to be high enough for at least some severe weather in a lot of portions of this area up here. Now let's check out one last little model here. If there's one, no, we're a little too far out from the SRF. But yeah, for the most part, the moisture has been sort of downtrending, but it definitely could switch and go way down more, or it could go up a lot more. So we'll just have to wait till that Wednesday trough gets through, and that system can kind of get out of the way and see if there's enough time for it to recover or not. Because if not, then there won't be severe weather up north, but there will be up south or down south. As you can see, we got this up here. I would say about everything from here south is almost guaranteed to get some sort of severe weather on Friday. I would say this entire area is almost guaranteed some level of severe weather. Now, upper portion, I would also say some levels probably guaranteed at this point, but it could be very weak if the moisture does not actually make it as far north as it kind of looks like right now. But for this point, that's about all I can kind of get through right now. I'll probably make another video maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll see how that can go, how everything advances once that first trough gets through. Thursday night, I will be covering the eclipse, the lunar eclipse at 11 p.m. till probably 2 a.m.-ish. And then also Friday I will be live storm chasing if there's storms that are good enough to go chase around my area. But otherwise, that's about it for this video. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.